All right, let's welcome our guest. We're very pleased to welcome our SABC digital news producer, Ms. Paballo Lephaka. Very good morning to you, Pops.
Good morning, Alicia.
Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us. On the main set, we do have political analyst, Mr. Levi Ndo, as well as Melo Mahulejo. Gentlemen, what a pleasure. On Women's Month, thank you for joining us.
Good morning, Alicia.
Good morning.
Paballo, let's take it away. Let's show the man how it's done. Yes. What was leading in the digital news this week?
All right, so Alicia, on Monday morning, we woke up to the sad news of veteran actress Mary Makhato's passing. She fell, and then she went to the hospital, and then just as people thought that she was starting to recover, she unfortunately passed away. And I think a lot of people on social media were obviously very shocked because, I mean, we had other musicians like Tsekeleko who passed away. We had actor Dumi Masilena who also passed away. So I think while they were trying to digest the shock of all that, and then she also passed on.
I mean, that's what normally happens in this country. Shocking events are always back to back. Let's look at the tweets that the people actually brought through in terms of this topic. Paballo, what do you have for us in that?
All right, and then we have a tweet saying, "I really don't know what to say now. Rest in peace, Mary Makhato. Thank you for blessing our television screens."
And she's got her pictures there, more pictures of her. Neopolis says industry legend Mary Makhato. It's one loss after another, as we've just said, Paballo.
And then we have another tweet. This actually touched my heart. Mary Makhato, a true legend, used to watch her on our neighbor's black and white battery charged television set. May her soul rest in peace.
And there's Minister Nathi Mthethwa there, the Minister of Arts and Culture, saying Mary Makhato's passing is a great loss to our arts fraternity and will always appreciate her efforts to nurture emerging acting talent. Very interesting and so great that the Minister also weighed in on this. Let's have the gentleman weigh in on this. Very sad news indeed, Levi.
Sad indeed. You know, it came as a shock, especially during the Women's Month. I personally didn't expect this to happen so soon, and condolences to her family.
Absolutely. Melo?
No, I echo those sentiments. I think for me, one of the enduring memories is seeing her on TV. I mean, like, she's always one of those faces that we never really used to be able to identify by name, but you used to identify by seeing her.
Yeah.
And so it is something that is really sad.
Absolutely. All right. Well, let's move on to the next big hashtag. And of course, let's hope that she may RIP. Paballo.
All right. And then we have our Deputy Minister of Higher Education, Manana.
Yes.
He has been making the rounds on social media for a few days now.
Yeah.
And we ran a poll on SABC News Online, and we asked people, what do you make of the delay in charging or arresting Deputy Minister of Higher Education, Manana, for allegedly beating a woman?
The numbers are in.
Yes. The majority is 69% saying it's preferential treatment.
Yeah.
12% saying, let's give the law a chance. 8% saying, well, it's typical of the police. And then 11% saying, let's wait for the full story.
The nosy ones want to wait for the full story.
And then in terms of what people were saying on social media in reaction, obviously his actions were met with a lot of distaste.
Absolutely. Condemnation
Condemnation,
as well.
yes.
Yeah.
And then just to read the comments, we have at Moses_Moyo saying, Mampara of the week, hashtag Mdutuzi Manana, hashtag Women's Month. And then we have another comment from Mandla Mbandra saying, I can bet with my 6-month salary, Mdutuzi Manana will never see jail. Which political figure is serving a jail term in South Africa?
I want to hear what Odes says. He says, now we'll see if at Mbalula Figile is a man of his word or just blowing up smoke with regards to hashtag Mdutuzi Manana's incident. Very interesting. You know, it was very interesting how everything actually shifted into what the police minister's reaction would be. Let's take a look at that last tweet there, Paballo, before we get commentary from the gentleman.
And then we have TLC saying, every woman deserves to have at least one man in her life who terrorizes men who dare to assault her.
Absolutely. I totally support TLC's assertions there. Let's have a quick input from the gentleman. Gentlemen, what do you make about these developments? Levi, I know we're going to talk about this in broader perspective later on in the show, but let's talk about the digital side of it.
In South Africa, we're all equal before the law, and we need to allow the law enforcement agencies to act on the deputy minister, whether it was the deputy minister or anybody else.
Absolutely.
We need the law to take its course.
Mela?
I think for me, speaking specifically to the digital issue, is that the accessibility of social media news and accessibility of government representatives via social media now brings a certain urgency about actions and what people expect to happen. And if our governments government and governance structures do not respond to that, then I think it sort of delegitimizes them to a certain extent in people's eyes. I think that's something that they need to manage going forward.
Absolutely. We're going to talk about it much later on. Paballo, let's look at the last big hashtag of this week. What could it have been?
Okay, and then the last one is obviously the failed motion of no confidence against President Jacob Zuma as the 8th one. We ran a poll again.
In secret, you forgot to mention in
secret. The secret ballot, yes. And we ran a poll.
So what are we looking at here, Bob?
And we asked, how do you, this was before the MPs voted.
Yeah.
How do you want the secret ballot, hashtag no confidence vote against President Jacob Zuma to go? 16% saying Zuma must survive, 69% the majority saying Zuma has to go. 9% saying Zuma is not the biggest problem, and then 6% saying I haven't decided yet.
What would they need to decide, that 6%? I really want to know. Melo, what do you think?
It's a very interesting country, broad perspectives, and we're supposed pluralist in that sense. But I think obviously to the extent that people feel that Zuma must go, it's good that people are voicing their opinions on Twitter and so on. But the one thing that we must also remember is that there's a broad constituency within the country that is not on Twitter and that is not on social media. So that always has to get weighed up against such surveys.
Do you have any quick tweets on this topic,
Yes,
Paballo?
we do have a few tweets. We have a very interesting image here saying Punyuka Bempete, hashtag Zuma vote. I always wonder how he always manages to survive. And then we have another tweet coming through from
Wisani. They says President Zuma survives, but the margin has significantly narrowed. The significance of this may not be clearer now, but it will be in time. And that was the debate that actually came out after this motion of no confidence. A quick last one.
And then the last comment we have from Florida Arma Petro saying, dear South Africans, now stop accusing Zimbabweans of not being able to remove Mugabe. See your life.
Well, do you want to add anything there very quickly, Levi?
Well, the secret ballot was granted by the Speaker of Parliament, and we still have President Zuma as the President of the Republic. That is the most interesting part.
All right. Well, that's where we're going to leave it. Paballo, do give our viewers that URL where they can get all these interesting news and more.
Okay, so they can go on www.sabc.co.za/news.
All right. Well, after the break, DA to forge ahead with the motion to dissolve Parliament in order to trigger early elections. That and more coming up shortly after this break.